No mai, haere mai, ki Te Atamira. Welcome to you all. Thank you all for coming on this Saturday morning, on a beautiful Saturday morning. Just before we get started, emergency procedures, of course. There's your exit door. Go round the building, all the way round to the front, and then you go to the orange building on the corner. So today we are honoured to have these four iconic artists and all storytellers. They are Aotearoa's taonga. Chelsea Winstanley just flew in this morning. Dame Gaylene Preston, who came to us from Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Dame Robin White, who trained and then flew all the way from Masterton. And Julia Holden from Waiheke Island. So they're here to share their experiences of working together and alongside others, and why shared practice lies at the heart of creative and human evolution. So today's topic is the power of collaboration, and so I'm going to hand it over to them. What is collaboration and why is collaboration important?
Kia ora, everyone. Yes, kia ora, everyone. My name's Julia Holden, and I was down here doing a 2-month residency, literally here at Te Atamira, in what has now become the office space for the staff here at Te Atamira. And so I turned that into a little mini studio space and invited, in a very organic, very democratic way, artists I encountered to, if they would like to come and make a portrait with me. And they are a literal collaboration. It's not possible for me to make these portraits without the full participation of the person I am making the portrait with, because we negotiate, the whole thing arises out of a discussion. I invite them to come up with something to represent their practice or something they might be making or doing at the moment. And on the basis of that, I'll go and find the clothes and the materials and dress them and literally turn the figure into a painting. So gesso the clothes, make the clay, the hair, for a performance that happens in the studio between the two of us in our little creative bubble that we do it together. So it's not possible for this work to even exist without the full presence of the subject. So if that's not the definition of collaboration, I don't know what is. But and behind that, of course, I used to work in film, so I've also worked in that kind of collaborative environment. And then when I went to art school to do painting, I also oil paint, and I miss that connection and collaboration of working with other creative people who are just so exceptional in their particular fields. That it's very, I won't use the word exciting, Gaylene. It's very enriching and thrilling to be working alongside people who we are all in this together, moving with a goal in mind together. I love that experience as well. So to keep it interesting for myself, I like to mix it up and occasionally do series that are just for myself, and then make these performance painting portraits with other artists and members of the public. And I don't come in with any preconceived ideas, or I don't have my goal in mind, although a vision of what the work will look like will develop out of the conversation we have. And so I have that in mind as we begin the work. So that's a brief synopsis of this practice. And of course, those portraits out that we had that opening for last night, you're very welcome to go and investigate and ask more questions. Thank you.
Actually, Chelsea and Julia, you were just collaborating as we were sitting down. Julia had already had ideas going about, the next thing I could do, and how could Chelsea be involved, and which characters, and so it just happens almost by just coming together. It
Indeed.
seems. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like I said, it's very organic. I would never insist on someone working with me. It's an invitation. It's just an open-ended invitation. Would you like to make a work with me? And that's where it starts.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks, Julia. Gaylene.
Collaboration. Well, I work in a collaborative medium in film, and you can't do anything on your own. It's actually an art form that you cannot actually do on your own. You can have the idea, and then after that, you can even, if you really want to, you can write maybe the treatment and the first draft of the film, but after that, you have to get the money. So that is your first collaboration. Working with producers. The producer makes the film happen. The director makes the film. That's a serious collaboration. It's really important to be making the same film. If you're not making the same film, it's a terrible experience for both of you. And then after that, so I tried to work out what it was I did as a filmmaker, because I produce, direct, write with others. What do? I'm a persuader. I think you're a persuader. I don't persuade people to be covered in house paint. But directors can ask people to do quite crazy things. You know, once you have an actor there, I think Sam can attest to this. I'm amazed at how courageous actors are. I have one in the family here, and, you know, that sort of normal person, and then suddenly the director-actor relationship steps in, and I can be asking an actor to be doing something I'd never dream of asking them to do in real life. Collaboration is everything in the film medium. So why do I do it? Because I did study painting, and that you can do on your own. And writing, you can actually sharpen your pencil, and all you need is what we might call a piece of quiet, and you can write. So why did I choose this very active, collaborative medium? Relationships. You know, there's so many doors you walk through where you meet people, and life is larger if you are collaborating. Life is collaboration, let's face it. That's what I've got to say.
Thanks, Gaylene. I'm sort of curious, when you have the actor getting the actor to do what you want, like, how do you get to that place where they actually, I guess, trust you?
Courage.
Your courage?
Their courage too.
Yeah.
It's all courage and trust.
Yeah.
And a very good safety officer.
Thank you. Robin, I'm curious which sort of area you choose to talk in terms of collaboration with Gaylene or with your art practice.
Yeah. Hey, listen, folks. This is a very important topic. So thank you. So I've been thinking about actually just the meaning of this word, and what it means, as I understand it, is quite simply working with someone to produce something. All right? So if I look at it in that sense, that opens up a lot of questions. It also clears the ground for every human being to be aware of being part of this meaning of collaboration. Because, you know, if working with someone to produce something, questions come up like, who am I working with, for a start? Do I know this person? How do I get to know this person? And what is the something that we're going to make? What are the skills that are needed? Do I have those skills? If I don't, who does have them? And the something that we're going to make, is it important? Is it useful? Is it going to contribute something worthwhile? You know, if you look at it in this way, this is what we need on our little waka called planet Earth, isn't it? No matter. So, you know, I'm just an artist. So, yeah, I've had this journey of coming out of a Western art school system which pays a lot of attention to authorship and individuality. You're on your own, and don't tell anyone what you're doing. You know, it's territorial, extremely territorial, and you know, that's a funny space to be in a way. But you know, that's how I started emerging out of that really odd thing. But art school wasn't my only nursery as an artist. It was what I learned in my home, in the conversations I had, or more especially listened to as a child, that was going on in the home, where the emphasis was always on not being concerned with yourself as an individual, but letting your vision be world-embracing. Okay, so then fast forward to when I'm living on an atoll in the middle of the Pacific, and something happened which forced me to rethink my whole practice as an artist, which basically meant I had to keep working. And what do you do when all of the things you've been used to working with are no longer there, suddenly? I had to do what I should have done long ago, so no credit to me. All right, this is an important point. So I had to start looking at what was available locally and working with local people who were my friends, who had the skills I needed that I didn't have. And out of that started a whole shift in my work as an artist, where I started really valuing the outcomes of working with others. And the outcomes, you know, the something that you produce, that's wonderful. But there are other things that are far more lasting and far more important. And those are the relationships that are developed, the skills that you learn from working with others, the challenges that you learn to face. And as Gaylene said, learning to deal with risk and trust. Yeah, so it's been a great blessing. Collaboration is a great thing, folks. Go for it. Whatever practice, you know, get to know your neighbours, basically. You never know what might happen.
There you are.
Thank you, we're done.
Collaboration.
But no, we're not done. We've got more story. Chelsea.
Tēnā tātou. Tēnei te mihi kia koutou i o koutou kōrero he tino a tāhua, kei te tautoko i o koutou kōrero. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for spending your time with us today. I'm just wowed at all these incredible women that I'm sharing the stage with. I feel very blessed. To collaborate, to me, is really just to be human. And collaboration is to have a human experience. And I think about times in my life where I've collaborated, but really collaboration is almost I think about my life as having soul collisions. And I think about all those soul collisions that I've had in my life, and they've all been collaborations in one way or another, whether it's with a person or a piece of art or whatever's happening in my life. I'm having a collaboration with this fly right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else is? He wants to join in the conversation. But, no matter who that soul collaboration is with or for how long it is, it's so important. Every little collision, every little soul collision I've had has been some kind of lesson. Sometimes they're bloody hard and you're like, ugh, but it's been a lesson that you've needed to learn to get to the next step in your life. And for me, I've had some wonderful soul collisions, really hard ones, beautiful ones. And throughout your life, when you have these collisions, you might be just thinking, my God, what do I have to learn this lesson for? But there's always something on the other side, and just hang in there. That's the reason why I called my company This Too Shall Pass. Because no matter what, the good, the bad, the ugly bits, they're all meant to be part of who you are. And I think ultimately the best collaboration you can have or learn to have is with yourself. And I think that's what I'm finding reaching 50, as I'm putting up certain boundaries so that I can have a proper relationship with me. And that's the collaboration that I want to have, a true, authentic one. But to your point about relationships, and it's all, as a producer, as a director, as a writer, you've got to be putting on all these different portai, all these different hats. And they can be exciting, challenging, and frickin' scary sometimes. I was just have you read Gaylene's book? It's so good. I think she's got some here.
She has.
Oh my gosh.
I've got
the
some.
story about Mr. Wrong, holy heck. That is just phenomenal. That you are literally on the edge of your seat trying to figure out, oh my God, how you made that. In terms of like an ultimate story about collaborating, that is the best story. You've got to get a copy of the book.
I have 4 copies.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the book? The
Oh, well,
stories in it, Mr. Wrong.
I found myself at Jesus College. That was the result of a collaboration, because I was at Jesus College with Helen Clark, who I had made a film with. And they had a sort of feast for my year with Helen for the film. And I was sitting under the chandeliers of this 17th century building, and the man sitting next to me said, "How was your day?" And I said, well, it was lovely, because I used to live here in the 70s, and Cambridge is a great town to come back to because it doesn't, the architecture doesn't change. And he said, "Oh, what college?" And I said, well, Fulbourn Psychiatric Hospital, which is where I was working as a librarian, and that's where I began to make films. And he said, "Oh, you must come, and you must come to the college." And so I got invited on the strength of this, because he was the chair of the board of Fulbourn Hospital that still existed. Oh. And who was I to know? I was sitting next to him. And so I found myself at Jesus College for 3 months, and it was to think and reflect. No project. So when I got there, the wall, people have been writing things in that place for a very long time. So I suppose I sort of collaborated with them. So I started writing about my experiences at Cambridge and at the hospital and the beginnings of my filmmaking, and the book grew from there. Then I had a head injury, so I stopped for a couple of years and got back to it. So it's my recovery book. Yeah. But you're writing on your own, and then you have to bore people by sitting in their kitchens and insisting on reading bits. They go, oh yeah, would you like your egg over easy or and blah blah blah. So I did miss the collaboration. Writing is a solitary occupation, but reading it out to people need not be. Yeah.
Fantastic. Last night you were talking about leadership, and it was sort of when you were talking about the film, and there was a particular leader that you were talking about. And so if you are making collaborative works, you were talking about the importance of having someone to lead it. Like you can't all sometimes. Do you remember the conversation?
Yeah, we were talking about that in terms of making grace, weren't we? So I'll tell you about the collaboration that Robin and I did for making the film Grace, A Prayer for Peace, which is a collaboration between the artist and the filmmaker. It's been a very unusual collaboration for me because usually, I'm a documentary film, I'm making a film about you. How do you feel about that? No. I got this camera. I got all the power. How does that collaboration work? Well, with a great... Why don't you talk about how that... Because Robin has taught me a lot about collaboration, because normally with a film, I'm the director, and yes, I collaborate with the cinematographer, I collaborate with the editor, I collaborate with everyone, but I'm the boss, because I've got to achieve the vision of the film, and I need them to be left alone once they know the vision of the film, the kaupapa. We probably need to talk about kaupapa. But anyway, once I've described the idea of what we're trying to do, I don't tell the cinematographer where to put the lights. If I have to tell the cinematographer where to put the lights, I'm working with very much the wrong cinematographer. So everybody has their own department in film, which is a rather brilliant way to collaborate. And what the director does is they point, and everybody else does the work, and the director guides the work, but in the end, the director's got to be the boss. So you can say, well, that's not really a collaboration. But I've been the most boss with Grace, A Prayer for Peace that I've ever been in any of my filmmaking, working alongside Robin. And this film is definitely a collaboration, but Robin we've had huge conversations about everything, but not about how to make the film or what the film even is. I've learned a lot.
Here's the thing. This lady came up to me and said, "Hello, I'm Gaylene Preston. I want to make a film about you."
This was at a party.
I'd never met Gaylene before. I knew who she was. I hope I was polite. But in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want a film about me. But anyway, eventually we got together, and over a cup of coffee and some kai in Cuba Street, a street of national significance. I said, Gaylene, I'm not really interested in a film about me, but you might consider possibly a film about some artists working together, meaning myself and my mates up in Auckland, South Auckland. and you thought that sounded like a possibility. Is that right?
I'm in. I'm in. That's my bag, man.
So I just went on with doing what I was doing up in Auckland, working with Ebony Fifita and her extended whānau and others who would come in and out. And then Gaylene, who was still, you were very much still recovering from your head injury. Serious
when I
injury.
said I want to make a film about you, I heard me say those words. I hadn't actually, I heard it like it was another person talking, because at that stage I wasn't making any more films.
Yeah.
And the next thing I said was, but don't hold your breath, I've had a head injury. So then I get a ring from the New Plymouth Art Gallery saying, well, when do you want to travel? To us, to the Govett Brewster. And I said, am I coming to the Govett? What have I got to do? Oh, you're part of Robin's group. And we know you've had a head injury. So when do you want to travel? So I was just immediately, there wasn't a line between me and the cinematography and the collecting of the recording of the process and the people there wasn't a line between in front of the camera and behind the camera. I was in the van, I was in the waka. And and involved in the conversations, and every now and then because I had the head injury, I'd just put the camera down, leave it on record and go and have a lie down. And nobody seemed to have any opinions of how you were supposed to make a film. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I think an important thing about how you, Robin, work is it's very thoughtful, it's very measured, and there's no judgment going on of anybody at all in any way. And I think that's been a real life lesson for me as your collaborator, to have been invited. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely. Yeah, when I was proposing to you, Gaylene, that it would be possibly more, you might want to consider the idea of following us as we work together up in Auckland. There was a purpose behind that, which was a lot more to do with things which were far more important than us as individuals.
Yeah.
And that is to do with the whole question around, going back to the definition of what is collaboration, working together with someone to make something. And the question is, what is it we're making and why? What is its purpose? What is it for? Why are we doing this?
Kaupapa.
Yeah, so we had a lot of questions about purposefulness. And I think that is all wrapped up in the title of your film. Grace, a Prayer for Peace. I mean, the reason why I do this kind of work, whenever I have, I sometimes work all on my own in my studio as well. All right? It's not like this is my only mode of operation. But
I'll come and film her.
Yeah, she's still there. She's still there.
Filming.
That fly.
But it's something I seek when the opportunity arises. And the opportunity comes when I'm confronted with having to do something that I cannot do on my own. I need help, And I appreciate the joyfulness of working with others. And the people that I'm working with, we have a lot of conversations about why we're doing this and what is the attitude, what is the spiritual, the deeper, more elevated reason for why we're doing this together. And it is always to do with how we see humanity and what is the needs of society at this moment. Is there purposefulness for others in what we're doing? Are we setting a good example, basically, of how we can be as human beings, you know, when we are all so different and we get up each other's noses and we get cranky with each other, but there are ways of managing that, you know, because we want to produce something.
Yeah.
We want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no other time in my life that is more important than now to make a work as a little drop in the bucket, because we seem to have put up a lot of barricades around everything, including our personal selves, including gender. We've put up a lot of barricades just at a moment in world history where we really need to be getting rid of borders in all senses, and you know, not doing this is us and they are them. The us and them thing will be humanity's downfall, I believe. That we are not essentially a violent species compared to other species on the planet, but we are off the scale when it comes to bonding. And the fastest way for a group to bond is to decide some other lot that we don't like. So we are we and they are the other. And so I think a film that can explore through magnifying the life work of Robin White, who has spent a lifetime making work that explores these issues, not even issues, it's humanity, it's mothering, it's about not othering. That's been a real privilege for me. And just because the film's at Dorothy Brown's this afternoon and it's here tomorrow at Silky Otter, I believe it's sold out, but I think the point is to make the film and hope that everybody has a think afterwards. So it's not about doing a cinema release and all that big stuff. It's actually about really, really thinking while consider this. Robin says that a lot, consider this. You could consider this. And we have a wonderful film that is, I think we can do a Barbenheimer with Chelsea's film. We're both we're both putting our films out as self-distributors, and Toi 2 is a remarkable film about exactly the same thing, isn't it? It's an observational documentary looking at doing a magnificent big thing that's really hard to do in an institution that just hasn't got the capacity to really do it, because the institution has a different kaupapa to the filmmakers and the curator of the exhibition. It's all comes down to kaupapa.
Yeah, and purpose. Now, on your point about purpose, everything I think you kind of do in your life should have some kind of purpose. Otherwise, what the bloody hell are you doing it for? And when I think about what's informed my purpose, and maybe the collaboration has probably been my collaboration with whānau. And that first kind of kākano that was planted probably in my seed, or for me wanting to be a storyteller about collaboration, was thinking about my grandmother and that generation of Māori that were beaten for for speaking their language at school, and then subsequently that language was never passed on to us. And one of the things I've done in my career in terms of collaboration is to do the Disney Reo Māori projects, and that was simply because we just wanted our kids to be able to go to the cinema and choose a brand new film in their own language, and that just wasn't a possibility. So back in 2016, in terms of a collaboration, we thought, well, what better way to do that? Because we're not getting any traction with this, and especially not with this government now, but, we're not getting enough traction for our kids just to be able to do that. So why not go and have a conversation with the giant of the global entertainment industry, Disney? And Moana had just come out then. That was 2016. And we thought, stuff it, why don't we just give it a go? What are they going to say? And it was perfect because collaboration again, you've got 4 of those actors in that original Moana film. Well, 3 of them were Māori. You had Rachel House, Jermaine Clement, Temuera Morrison, and then our beautiful Pacific brother, Oscar Kitely. And so you kind of got to think about when you're talking about relationships and how you approach people in those spaces that can make true change. And so when we were approaching Disney, we were like, look, you've already got these amazing Māori actors that are already in your film. They've agreed to, come on and do this Reo Māori project with us, Moana. They're like, oh, really, have they? And we were like, they hadn't, but we were like, yeah. And they were like, oh, okay, oh my God. I guess, right, it's from a story in the Pacific. We were like, yeah, it is. It's like a kick-ass girl, from here too. That was so groundbreaking. And they were like, well, you've got the money, right? We were like, yeah, we had no money. But again, collaborating with those that just knew what we were trying to do. So Larry Parr, and you talk about Larry in your book, part of that cohort of people that just believe in you. So it was a matter of going, Larry, we need some cash because we've got them just basically saying yes, but kind of no. And then we were on a plane, basically pitching in front of the exec team, telling lies. We had all these things, tick, 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 tick. They were like, great, go ahead. But the fact that that film was made and it was such a success and they were blown away by our talent, the people that we found to do that, they were so blown away by that by the time we came back with fingers, toes and everything crossed going, oh my God, don't suppose we could do some more? They were like, oh my God, you Maoris know what you're doing. They were literally, that were the words that came out of their mouth. And we thought, just get one more. And they were like, how many do you want? We're like, holy shit, we have 4. And so the whole purpose of doing that was so that we could get our language on screen. Our babies could walk into that cinema. Not only that we could celebrate different mitzvahs. So we chose 4 more films. And the next one was Lion King. We did that on purpose because that enabled us to take and look at all those different animals that are in Lion King. And that's intergenerational. That's the other brilliant thing about those films and the stories that they tell. You can take your grandma, your baby, all in between. And that film allowed us to take all those different animals and celebrate 5 different mitzvah, 5 different dialects. Now, that's never happened before, but slowly seeping into the psyche of Aotearoa New Zealand, that we're not just one homogenised language, but we have different, really specific mitzvah. And when we did Frozen, Reo Māori, that was celebrating the mitzvah of Kaitahu. Now, that's hardly ever happened before. We were just breaking like all these new barriers. And then we do our 5th film, and like that has just been unbelievable. We had the cinemas too, a point about self-distribution. Cinemas don't make any bloody money during the day, but now we've got kids and school buses flocking to the movie theatres. So they are like, when's the next one coming? When's the next one coming? Like, you didn't want to know about us before, did you? But, and then on top of that, we did something last year which is actually never ever been done in the world. Last year in November, we put out Moana 2 Reo Māori Day and Date. And Te Reo Māori is the only language in the world that has ever gone day and date, Indigenous language, with a brand new Disney feature. We did that because we proved to them that we have an audience. So the more we go and do that, that's collaboratively, that's Aotearoa New Zealand doing that and showing Disney and the rest of the world that we value our language. But one more, actually, the really coolest collaboration of all, of that whole project, was when we did Lion King. And so when they send you all the stuff, when Disney sends you all the things, they send you the stems and the dialogue, quite separate stuff. And so collaboration, we've got a whole music team doing their thing. It's just fantastic. So you can have the music on Spotify and iTunes. So these films live forever. They're not just in the theatres. Our kids get to sing along in the car, all the things. But with Lion King, So Elton John, the big ballad at the very end is the end rolling credits. Can you feel the love tonight? That one. Well, when we get all the things sent to us, we're like, damn, we're missing that one. And so, it's a matter of, you've just forgotten some elements here. Can you please send along, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? We really need it. We're hitting our, we've got to get to LA. Basically, we either have to go to LA or London to the final mix. So we're coming up to LA. We've got to get this one done. They were like, oh, no, you can't have that. We're like, what? What do you mean? We can't have that. No, you guys are just missing it. Can you just send it? They're like, no. You can't have that. Nobody has Elton John, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? What do you mean? No language in the world has ever reversioned and translated Can You Feel the Love Tonight. I'm talking like Italian, French, German, Spanish, all the things. We're like, oh my God, but we've promised our babies, because we've just done Moana and we're coming out with Lion King. It's like, holy shit, they can't sit through the whole thing, Lion King, and just be like, yeah, thinking it's their film, and then Elton John, oh my God. So we were like, what the hell? They were like, no, he has OV on everything, original voice. We're like, well, maybe not this time. So we secretly recorded Stan Walker. We got him into the studio. Then we made this beautiful little video. We're basically begging, pleading. We got Rob Ruhard explaining to Elton John basically what we're trying to do with this project, bring it back, from near extinction, all the things. And then we just got on the phone every which way we could. Anyone we knew, anyone in the music industry, please help. We're trying to get to Sir Elton. I think we're about like a week out from having to be in LA, still no word. We're like, oh my God. 2 days out from getting on the plane, we get an email, Sir Elton John has given you his blessing.
Wow.
Te Reo Māori is the only language in the world.
Amazing. Amazing.
But that's collaboration, damn, if that dude over there, Sir Elton, can see the value in our language, why can't we? It's just that simple.
And that's also the boss there.
Yeah. Collaboration, determination, and courage.
Yeah, and like saying, a no? Oh, that just means give it a go.
Yeah.
And ask.
Relationships are so key, aren't they? Who you know, just the generosity, actually, Julia, like when you were working here in the space, and just the generosity of people who kind of gave of themselves, I guess, but also
absolutely.
the lights that came. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. That that series that I've done here couldn't have been possible without the support, and the collaboration with the community is such a big element of it. I needed to find some lights, and as I was explaining yesterday, who was I talking to? Oh, I'd gone to a lighting place here. Those lights were theatre lights. They would be no good, too hot. And then I, through my friend Fee, met Jeff Williams, who said, oh, you need to talk to Brett Mills. And Brett fabulously, gave me the perfect light and a lighting stand to use for the short time that I was here. And he had this amazing little light that was so great. And he let me use it. And in exchange, I said, would you like to make a portrait with me? And because he was like, no, I don't want to be photographed. But there's something about the idea of becoming a painting that was appealing enough that he did come and do it. But, I have felt very supported, and it has been very much a kind of community collaboration, which came out of my time in post-earthquake Christchurch. When I arrived in a place I didn't know anybody, I literally thought, how can art be useful at a time like this when the place was so devastated? People had died, a lot of artists had left town, a lot of people had left town, there was no place to show work. It was just, really depressing. And I'd have arrived there quite depressed myself for other very personal reasons, but it woke me up, and I just thought, to purpose, who am I doing this for? Because prior to that, I'd been making art for myself. And suddenly I thought, how can art be useful in a crisis situation like this for the community? And it literally changed my entire thinking about why I do my work and who I do it with and how and what use can it be, And it is about being seen, I think, largely, isn't it? You know, the portrait of Robin and Totu, which I'm very excited to see when that comes up. But it's showing people who they are in a way. You know, that it's a great gift when people give themselves to me for me to give it back. It's this beautiful exchange, and for a bigger purpose. It's about who we are. Portraiture particularly, I mean, to me, this is just my personal opinion, is very much about who we are right here, right now. It's very much of its moment, you know, and it's great to express that.
Mm.
Yeah.
We might move to question time with our audience, unless there's anything else burning on the couches happening, apart from that fly.
Oh, I want to read something actually, because
Okay.
I carry this book around with me. And I was just reading it. I like the salesman for your book. But, you know, talking about reflecting on your world, and I just wanted to read something from here because I thought it was so cool what you said. Bear with me for 1 second, please. This is what Gaylene says. I didn't grow up watching anything on the screen that I could identify as my world. That went for music and books too. And I'm part of the Janet and the John generation who learned to read stories where creeks were brooks and where Daddy went to work on the train wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase. We really were on the edge of the world, and it felt acutely. In 1995, when the world celebrated 100 years of film, New Zealand still had very few feature films to celebrate. For the Century of Cinema series curated by the BFI, Judy Reimer and Sam Neill made an excellent documentary, Cinema of Unease. The title refers to the dark, brooding nature of many of New Zealand's films, which certainly was the case when I saw the train going for that car in the rain, sitting on the floor of our dusky classroom at Grey Main School. I just wanted to mention that and mention Sam, and just to mihi to you e te rangatira, because, you know, we're so lucky to have the most incredible artists amongst us today. And your contribution to film has shaped so many of us as storytellers. So thank you.
I think it's a perfect place to move into our audience for any questions. Just before we do the questions, Ruth will be bringing a mic, so if you can speak into the mic, please, because this session is being recorded and we want your voices recorded. So.
Kia ora koutou.
It's on now.
Kia ora koutou katoa, nā mihi nui e wahine mā, no mai haere mai ki te Whakatipu o Māori. This question is for Gaylene, and it's to do with working across differences as a creative exchange. So for yourself, can you share an example where a collaborator fundamentally shifted your perspective or approach?
My last film, for sure, but I think I'd say every film does that. When I went to Christchurch after the earthquakes to make a television series called Hope and Wire, we were working in a community that was totally grief-stricken. And grief is expressed in lots of ways. I come from Greymouth. We did all our holidays in Christchurch. The Preston family, their tūranga waiwai was Avonside Drive, which was a house that got wrecked. So I did actually whakapapa to that place, but people didn't know that. And so I was seen as an outsider coming in to take their stuff. not by everyone, of course, but a small vocal minority. And I just had to work out how to understand that and how not to get angry about it and make sure that everybody who was working with us didn't get upset about it either. Because we wanted to do the work on behalf of that community without disturbing the community. So there's a lot of shades around doing work. Working with Honi Tūwhare, very interesting. I knew Honi. He asked me to do it. And I'm working with Alan Bollinger, who's the son of a good old friend of Honi's. So we're down there at Kaka Point, and we're working away with a very small crew, just Elbow, me, and a sound person. And Honi says to Elbow, "She's bossy. She's bossy." And Elbow came out from behind the camera and said, "Oh, yeah. She didn't used to be. She's got much better at it."
Love it.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Other questions?
Thank you. So inspiring to hear all of you. I have a question for Gaylene, Dame Gaylene. I have a daughter who is a Kiwi who went to NYU and just got funded by Netflix to make a movie. And that movie just premiered in Seattle. And she's very focused on the higher purpose. She said to me when she was 7, "Why are we here on this earth? What's our purpose?" I was completely blown away. The question I have is, how did you navigate the difficult career as a filmmaker in terms of getting the funding and supporting yourself and being successful? Were there tough times and times when you've had to soul search about the higher purpose?
Well, life is lived in retrospect. What successful is becomes, well, I think John Lennon was asking about it. There is a person in the room who knows far more about how I coped with the up and downs of filmmaking, and that's my daughter, Chelsea Preston Crayford, who is here, who has herself just completed a feature film. And I think, Chelsea, you know the answer to that question better than anyone.
Kia ora koutou. I'll stand up. Well, I was just thinking when you were asking that question, and also all through this amazing talk of what incredible minds in this room at the moment that we get to share in and have this kōrero around this really huge stuff. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about it when you were talking to Robin and you, Chelsea, is a no. I remember Mum saying to me, a no is the start of a yes. And I think she's always approached it that way. And I also recall a thing in your documentary about Helen Clark, where Helen says, no one's going to roll out the red carpet for you. If you have, and it comes back to what you're all saying about purpose, if you have a purpose that you are completely aligned with, and it's part of your reason for being, then you can't be stopped, really. And And it sounds like your daughter's on the way. She's already doing that, so she seems like she's fine.
Nicely put.
Yeah, so Chelsea grew up all her life alongside my ups and downs. Yeah. Thick and thin. It's funny though, that they feel thin at the time, but when you think back, they get thicker. Thick and thin.
No, it's true. Out of those sort of crisis points, some of the richest things come when it seems like the absolute end of everything. Like I got to Christchurch right at that point too, when the city was absolutely devastated. People were absolutely traumatised. And already, this was only 18 months after the earthquake, people were sick of hearing of it. You know, in Auckland, they were like, oh, aren't they over it yet? And so it was just impossible to really capture the full sense of what had happened. Really difficult.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that as an artist, you're going to do your best work when it's really, really hard.
Exactly. Yeah,
That
that
Can be the case.
that
Not with this last film. I'm just being so glad I lived long enough to experience a collaboration with Robin. I can't say that too strongly.
It seems that there's times in your life when there has been pain or difficulty have been quite significant for shifting the way you do things.
Oh, well, maybe the head injury.
Yeah. But even that, being that Christchurch, I mean, there's an amount of trauma that comes with that as well. Yeah. Robin with you,
Oh, Christchurch certainly was a turning point for me, 100%. Yeah.
There's a question down there.
Thank you.
Oh, it's only me. Look, Josie, can I thank you so much for your kind words? They were completely unexpected, and I could sort of ramble away here for half an hour. Being here with these artists, and women artists, it's particularly important, I think. I'm rambling already, and it's not even half an hour. Do you know, it's a reminder to being here. First of all, how much everyone on stage has meant to me over the years. The very first work of art I ever bought was a screen print by Robin White. And it was of the harbour cone, and I grew up under that harbour cone. And I still have that little work there, and it means it sort of anchored me in a way. And it's been wonderful to be in the same room as Robin, who has been such a beacon for me, I think, over these years. And speaking of beacons, as you get on, and I'm really getting on now, you think back, and what's important about this country? What matters? What matters? What lasts? And for me, inevitably, and that's what we're talking about today, is the art. And when you think back about life in New Zealand, I don't remember anything about commerce. I remember a little bit about Muldoon. That's about the sum of it. Everything else is, I think of the 70s or the 80s, and I think of split ends, and I think of rough pottery, and I think of Whakatipu. These are the landmarks that certainly count for me. Without the arts, we're nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why it matters so much for me to see, you together on stage. And it's been a privilege. And I want to thank you all.
Any more questions? Yep.
Kia ora koutou. My name's Janine. I'm sitting next to my partner in crime, Hayley. We come from Dunedin, down Mac Bay, and we're doing a documentary on part of the peninsula. And also we come from Christchurch, and we went through the earthquake. So, with our babies, my question for anyone in this room, especially the people on the couches, is how did you navigate life with family and experience in certain areas but inexperience with others and still feel like you're making something worthwhile? Especially if, like, some of us have some real imposter syndrome and we try to just do it, but sometimes it's quite daunting. Do you have any advice for us?
Shall I start?
Who's got who's got the most kids?
I've got 3.
I've got 3.
You got 3. And I've got a partner, a bloke, and I shall mention his name. His name is Michael Fudakovsky. And we've been married for, 52, is it? Yeah. 52 years or something. Yeah. Picked the right bloke. It helps, ladies.
Hugely.
That was a very good soul collision.
Yeah. Not always easy. No, it is difficult. But the other thing is, and I've been thinking this as I hear all your wonderful statements about us up on the stage, before you start seeing halos and wings, I'm going to quote something that Gaylene told me, who was quoting someone else. There's a slice of ice in the blood of every artist. I can just as easily be dictatorial and ruthless and stubborn as any other person. So it is a challenge. But this is life. And that's why working with others helps us to manage those natural human tendencies. And children are part of that challenge. Yeah. And no meant no.
They weren't the film commission.
No, they weren't. I was the boss. Yeah.
What about you, Chelsea? With your, we're doing 3 kids.
That's true.
Oh, I probably stuffed up the first one's life. I shouldn't laugh, but no, I mean, just because I was young. I was a young mum. I had him, I remember my 21st birthday, I had half a can of beer and a 3-month-old baby. No, he wasn't even 3 months old. He was only a couple of weeks because he's born on the 2nd and I'm the 13th. So I had him really young. I thought I knew what I was doing. I could take on the world with a kid. Nah, this is going to be easy as. It was really freaking difficult. But there's no regrets, of course. And I love him dearly and he's taught me so much. But as you get on in life and I didn't have my next lot of kids till he was 15, great babysitter. So that was a good choice. But you just learn along the way, eh? And in terms of that imposter syndrome thing, I mean, I think we all have it at certain stages in our lives, and it's okay. That is absolutely okay. But just try and remember to believe in yourself, because if you don't, nobody else will. And that's all you need to worry about. Have that conversation with yourself and just keep going, because it sounds like if you've got integrity, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, ladies. I'm Brian. I have a question to Robin. I was fortunate to see your film, and as we are talking of collaboration, I wondered if, Robin, you could tell us a little bit more about how you worked with the Japanese calligrapher and came up with your final piece, and perhaps touch on the issues of collaboration and language differences.
I thank you for this question, but I'm really interested in how people manage the challenges of working in the space between cultures, where languages are different. So working with a Japanese artist was a very different experience. For example, from the first work that I started doing collaboratively, let's say, which was in Kiribati, because we had the same language. I had become a fluent speaker of the Te Atamira Kiribati, and they were my mates. And so that was just sheer joyfulness. Working with Taiko Ogawa, whom I met, there was an instant recognition of another human being who I felt was like a sister, to put it simply. I don't know, there's something about looking into a person's face. This is the interesting thing about eyes. One of the interesting things about Julia's work is that the eyes are not painted. That's the window into the soul of a human being, into the inner reality of it. So this kanohi ki te kanohi, face to face, eye to eye, so important. I had that experience with Taiko. And our conversation, with the help of a translator, immediately started exploring how we could get to know each other more and work together. And it just grew from there. It was sort of seamless. It was, it had its challenges, but they weren't difficulties. They were just wonderful things to work out between us. And the qualities that were needed come to the fore. Absolute trust, a sense of reverence for each other, for each other's talents, and a recognition of the commitment that each of us had within our own sphere of working. I mean, when you have a sense of relationship that's so grounded like that in values, you proceed with the feeling that whatever happens, it's the right thing. You know.
And could I add? I think that Western world puts far too much emphasis on words, on words as the way to communicate, because actually we communicate, humanity, we communicate in so many ways. And yes, it's great to have an interpreter and it's great to have the thing on the phone, but actually if you don't worry about the words, you can communicate very well and very and that's what you and Taiko do. That's a very sophisticated communication that isn't reliant on verbal language. So that's only one way.
We had unity of commitment, unity of thought about what was important. We're going to make something. Why? What's important? What is our message? What are we saying? We had unity about that.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a great way to end. It sums up.
There's more questions.
We just
got time for more questions.
Go. Might be our last one.
I just want to say that having collaborated with Julia, we already had a relationship but there was an element of trust there that, you guys haven't used that word, but there is so much trust when you collaborate with someone that they're going to hold you in it. And I think that's a really important part of any collaboration. And I think what you're talking about, Robin, is an instant trust. A communication that, you know, unspoken communication is a kind of a trusting. Would you say that?
Maybe. You know, I mean, sometimes you need time to think things through. Too, you know. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for your generosity in sharing your life stories, for your entertainment, for your connection, for your relationship, for the connections that will be ongoing between you and who knows in the audience, the people that the things that you are creating through collaboration and the connections you will make, the messages that will be carried forth. Thank you for all of that. It's been a real privilege to sit up here with you. Thank you. And on your chairs you have pirianei. So, etu. Pirianei e te hau. Hororia e te ua. Whiti whitia e te rā.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.